Good evening and welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Dan Camilleri.
And I'm Laura McKillop. We'd like to start by thanking Enduro for their ongoing support in bringing you our podcast each fortnight. Tonight, we're fortunate enough to be speaking with Seumas, McKillop and Jeremy Lim from Holbrook Vet Centre. How you going,
boys?
Going good, thanks. How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
Good, thank you. Well, how about what's this? 147 episodes, and this is the first time we've had family on. It's pretty cool to have two McKillops online at the same time, guys.
The funny thing is, we don't know if we're even related. We'll just say we are. Dan's lost for words.
I was going to say first cousins.
Yeah.
Go way back. I think the boys have lost some volume there.
Seumas could be the weird uncle.
Well, maybe.
Easily are.
Sorry, mate, lost you there.
I'm happy if we are related.
Yeah.
Happy if you are related.
It'll be the first McKillop other than immediate family I know anyway.
So, Jeremy, we've had a yarn to you before. Thanks heaps for jumping back on. Seumas, we haven't had you on before, mate. Do you want to introduce yourself a little?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I love your show. Regular listener, first time caller. Look, I've been a veterinarian at Holbrook for 20 years, and I love everything farm related, including farm dogs. We do a lot of beef work out of Holbrook, and dog health has always been a bit of a side thing for me, with the close connection to Wagga Greyhounds and the greyhounds within the district here. So that's me.
And like being rural, like with greyhounds, like everyone thinks greyhound cities a lot of the time. What's how do you get involved with the greyhounds, mate? What do you do there?
We do on-track veterinary work, but we also support the trainers that run the kennels, and so anything from injuries to illnesses, but just preventative health with those dogs. So we do three track meets a week around Wagga and Temora, and we deal with any that injure themselves through training and competing. But we just support the trainers where we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. Sorry, Laura, go.
That's all right. What got you into veterinary?
Oh, I've just always loved animals. That's the main thing. I always told everyone I wanted to be an engineer, but secretly I wanted to get into this industry, and so I was fortunate enough to get in and living the dream as it is.
Awesome.
Did you grow up locally, mate?
I'm from the Mornington Peninsula, so surf coast of Victoria, and but moved to Holbrook as my first veterinary job position, just because of the rural aspect and the large animal work. I've loved every minute of it. So,
mate, sorry.
Be here for another 20, fingers crossed.
Mate, with the photo you guys sent us and the way you got your arm around Jeremy there, it seems like another 20 could be on the cards easy.
Jeremy has just signed up as part owner. So.
Oh, that's awesome! Well done, mate. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. He needs to be here for 20 to pay it
off. Is that why he's playing Little Spoon?
That's right.
No, I love it. Well, congratulations in that itself, Jeremy. Do you want to tell us what's that entail now? How does your position, does it change at all? What happens there?
No, I don't think it changes too much for myself. I suppose you perhaps have a little bit more accountability for your day-to-day stuff. But no, I've just, there's obviously options you could have gone elsewhere if you wanted to, and there's obviously been a few drags for myself to go away from the area for family and everything. But since I've been here as
as a new grad, which is, coming on 8 years. I've just really loved the area and the community and the workload, caseload that we have. It's just always really excited me, and it's been easy. 8 years, and it's gone quick. That's for sure.
Wow, that's awesome, man. It's kind of like a lawyer's firm. You work hard enough, you become a partner.
Yeah, that's right. We've just moved to our new clinic building in the last. Has it been a month or two, or two months. It goes quick. So we've moved just a bit further north, up the main street to where we were, and it's a great setup here now. Just makes everything a lot more efficient, sort of within the small animal side of things, and certainly just caters for the heap more bodies that I suppose it's been growing.
We had outgrown the last premises, that's for sure.
Yep. You mentioned there, like, you've been there for 8 years and you went there as a grad. Does that work like the grad goes with one of the vets out on site and gains experience, although they've already qualified, but to gain more experience like that and kind of get mentored along in your practice?
Yeah, 100%. It's, you come out of the degree with, not much industry experience. So you've got all the knowledge, I suppose, but it's, you need to get out into the workforce and really experience things. I suppose it's no different to training a dog in the training yard. They learn all the basics, but they need to go out on the job and actually learn what it's all about. So yeah, definitely the first year as a new grad, just sort of shadowed Seumas and Shane, two of the sort of senior vets here, and got out and met a lot of the farmers and sort of learn a lot just by watching, I suppose. Seumas's big motto is see one, do one, teach one. So I've tried to maintain that sort of mentality.
You've been Miyagi'd. Look at you. Just a massive hats, like, congratulations to both of you there, like 20 years and 8 years. One of my things that really puts a bee in my bonnet, I suppose, and we're not small, like closer to the city as well, is you just establish a relationship with a good vet in your practice, and they piss off, and then you got someone new, and everything changes. Your bills change, your advice changes. You have to start a new relationship over again. So like at 20 years and 8 years, like, that's awesome, guys. Like, I'm sure you guys probably have clientele that are like, oh, I want to see that particular fella as well.
It's a big strength of our business, where we work on a seasonal roster, and we want that roster just to keep rotating, and we want jobs to be annual jobs, and we, so far so good. We've kept vets about and staff about, so that's what we want to do for sure.
It's actually Shane's grad job as well.
Oh, really?
He was from day one.
Let's be honest, Seumas. We don't really have many listeners. 8 years ago, how long were you like, mate? This guy's not going to cut it. Or what are you telling the other vets?
Look, the first time we'd hired that. No, he's got a good work ethic, and he's very loyal and focused on his job. So he was,
You mentioned just a little bit there about seasonal, and I suppose that's what kind of sparked this conversation today. I was talking to Jeremy there a couple of weeks ago when all of a sudden we got 40-degree days in the middle of nowhere. I went, hey, let's get you guys on and yarn about the warmer weather and the effects it has on our working dogs. I've got a couple of little things I want to get into, but is there anything that generically as a whole you guys can comment on with the warmer weather?
That where those 40 degrees come out of nowhere, that tends to be when we see it, is the change of season, and it catches you unawares, and your dogs aren't used to it, you're not used to it, and then the humid night on top of that. I mean, so this is when we see it now. the middle of the season, we'd probably say everyone's acclimatised by the time.
Yep.
And I suppose it's just been a little bit, proactive. It's no real surprise that the days are getting warmer. And obviously, just taking care of not only farm animals, but your pets as well, like having shade and obviously access to water all throughout the day, and then obviously taking care of the animals while you're on the job. Sheep and cattle both alike. You don't need to be rushing things on a hotter day, and certainly you don't need to be pushing the dogs up on a hotter day when it's a bit of a shock to the system that are coming out of a colder time.
No, absolutely. And I suppose some of the younger handlers that are out there, they maybe don't want to look like they're how do I say it? Not pulling their weight, or not having a crack with some older people coming through. But how could they prepare their dogs so it doesn't look like they're hanging out, or they're trying to take advantage of? Oh no, we can't work because of the heat. How can they prepare their dogs a little bit different so they don't feel peer pressured to just putting their dogs straight in situations that are unreasonable?
I suppose it's just a little bit of preparation on the handlers side of things, even for the young guys, they're not just pulling the dogs out of the pound and then taking them to work the next day. You need to have a little period there of condition them a little bit. So obviously that would be fitness number one. It'd be like Seumas and I aren't the fittest blokes, and we go out and play touch tonight, and you get gassed pretty quick. So you need to, if you want to be get the most out of the dog, it's trying to get that sort of fitness level to it.
It was that question, Dan, implying a bit of peer pressure on the job.
Correct.
Yeah, stresses to get through a job and time frame.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And trying to, if it's because it's going to come, it's going to happen. It just happens with younger people getting in there. So how can we best prepare our dogs so if we do feel like that, we're not going to, gas them out real quickly? How about the greyhound guys? How would they prepare for the warmer months?
They've got a strict fit diet and fitness routine, and they're all a little bit different. Some of them condition their dogs differently on the walker. Others don't use a walker. They do a lot of sprint work, but they just know the problem with greyhound. It's the same as a good kelpie. Is they will run themselves to exhaustion. They know that if their dogs aren't fit, they really come under. There's a syndrome called acidosis. Acidosis is a very common condition in greyhounds if they overexhaust themselves, and so they only have to encounter an acidosis episode. They know they don't want to do that again. So experience, and this would be with the younger contractors. They're bound to walk a dog or two, aren't they? And they'll learn that it's not enjoyable. Their dogs in there for a week or two or even longer.
So it would coming into work, would shorter, sharper stints and more rests be good and more rotation, or just working the dog slower and building up? What would you guys suggest there? I
suppose it's a bit of a toss up between sort of more anaerobic work versus aerobic work. I mean, dogs that are maybe doing a bit more paddock work would probably be more sort of aerobic. You're needing to take them for a bit of a 5K trot, slow trot on the bike or something like that. But maybe dogs that are, high effort for a shorter window might need a bit more sort of intensity training, which would be, your truck dogs that are going to go flat out for, I don't know, half an hour to an hour, and then they sit in their cage for a bit. So I suppose it just gets a little bit tailored to what the dog would be utilising.
It all just comes down to fitness, really, in other words.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
being aware of your dog's fitness level, definitely.
And what would be like those signs, like the early signs of a dog starting to overheat?
Big hanging tongue, fast respiration rate, any sign of staggering. Some dogs will go looking for a way out, but others won't. I think, yeah.
Probably your early signs would be like maybe dogs that are a bit sharper to command. They sort of override you, or not override, maybe ignore you a little bit. Then you get the big deep chest that's trying to suck in as much oxygen as possible, and definitely that big dropped out, sort of exaggerated tongue, just panting is massive panting efforts. But yeah, perhaps
Looking for shade, looking for water. Yeah, dogs with their eyes look like they're popping out their head. They're looking to blow off a lot of heat.
And say it's gotten to the point where it's almost not too late, but what's the quickest way to cool a dog down?
I suppose get them into a water source, but you don't want them to get them into like ice water. You know that can cause a few issues. Humans, like you get too much sort of tightening up of the blood vessels, but obviously throwing them into a trough on a
Water,
yeah.
water and airflow are the two things they need. So this is what humid muggy days are often. So an option would be, dunk them in a trough or get them to a dam, shade, even get them on the back of a bike and drive them around after they've been dunked. And hopefully you can see the respiratory rate and effort decreasing, and you're on the right plane of recovery. Problem with an overheating dog is if you don't correct it soon enough, their temperature will skyrocket, continue to go the other way. So a lot of hosing, as much airflow as you can promote.
Yeah.
And if you did get to that point, and you got the dog home and you cool it down, like how much time or rest would you give that dog like before taking it back to work? And how would you introduce it back?
After it started to show some
say like it overheated, you got it home, it overheated, it's starting to eat again, it's getting around, say like a week after it's starting to look not too bad. Is it something that you'd obviously go to a vet first? Would you recommend that, or just ease it back in? Like how would you reintroduce it back to work?
If you're not happy with the dog, I definitely it can be a medical emergency, and we do see a few later in the evening after people have taken them home and they're sort of happy with them, but really happy. But if you are happy with them, then it will be play it by ear the next day and the next day, and you'll see how its heat tolerance is on the first few goes back to work. But hopefully it's no permanent damage has been done, and hopefully the dog can contribute the next day. But it'll be a lot of personal experience and nous there.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. But I suppose if they're more severe signs of the heat stroke, like it's definitely be worth taking them down to your vets, and obviously IV fluids are a huge part of the treatment for the dog suffering some heat stress, but also you can do blood testing just to see how much of those heat stress they were actually under, in terms of just some muscle breakdown sort of indicators, and I suppose some kidney and stuff sort of indicators as well on a blood further down the track.
Yeah. And you often hear once a dog overheats once, they overheat more and more all the time. Is that a wives' tale, or do you guys find that's actually the case?
I think a lot of it is is a genetic condition, and those animals have a genetic predisposition to behave oddly when their body temperature rises.
Yeah.
A lot of those animals aren't overheating, even though they look like they are. And so a lot of them are a genetic condition that and they have only shown the heat stress because of their genetic makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of them don't bring it on until 18 months, or at least 12 months, 18 months. Those animals are often genetically inclined to behave funny when their body temperature is rising. Those animals need to be fitter and better observed. But the difference between that condition and stress is that those animals can fall over, look heat stressed, but if they will recover.
No, that's really interesting.
Stressing can be a worry, but a lot of these animals that continue to behave like that are predisposed to this.
That's really cool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What about like electrolytes and that, like prior to tackling some of these big days? Is there any benefit from them, or even carrying them? Is it too late once they show signs?
Yeah, I think it's another thing to be proactive about. I think there is benefit to it. We're only just talking about it a little bit before. We use a fair few treatments in, I suppose, competitive horses, and it's no different to really with dogs as well. There's definitely a lot of products on that are super easy to give to your dogs, just normally in little sachets or little powdered sort of supplements that can go on food. But I certainly think they're right to providing those electrolytes to them prior to a big day's work.
Yeah, prior and post. A lot of them aid in recovery, and we've got some greyhound trainers that run all their dogs on electrolytes. I would suggest most of them do post work, and aids in their water intake and metabolism.
Yeah, it would help both with their preparation for the day and their recovery.
Need to use the right electrolytes. The electrolytes for and they're different.
You just dropped out on me there. What were you saying? You need to use the right ones because
Need to use dog electrolytes. The horse electrolytes are different to the dog electrolytes.
Mm-hmm. So would there be a brand or something you recommend or that you guys sell that you can recommend, or?
Yep. We don't market too many things, do we?
Endorsed.
I'm aware of lactate and vitrate and sulcovite products.
Yeah, which are all Rand Vet, I believe, aren't they?
So,
Well, do any of the greyhound fellows run cooling vests? Just when they're between races on their dogs?
They do, and the greyhound clubs will have cooling vests there available on hot days, available on cold days. Not aware of too many working dogs wearing the wool. Oh, yeah, a few working dogs stick.
I'd have to dig through some info, but I remember like you asked me about my Malamars before we went live, and a bloke messaged me, would have been last summer, actually rang me, and he had these vests for police dogs or that he was aiming them at like agency dogs, and you just kept them in an esky. Just in the event that your dog did overheat, you could take these vests out of your esky and throw them on your dog. And I talked to him about working dog, like Kelpies and Collies and our stock dogs. And he said, "Oh, we could just have it on the back of your buggy or your side by side." But even putting something like that straight on a dog that was extremely cool, that had overheated, that would have to be something you'd have to do gradually, like maybe with some toweling or something prior to go straight on, do you think? Or you said you don't want to go rapidly cold either, right?
Yeah, I think it would be a gradual decrease in temp would be the recommendation there. Sure. I think when you cold shock them too much.
Yeah. I just wonder whether because I have felt the greyhound ones, and they're not ice cold. They're not. If you put them on it, it's like putting ice directly to your knee versus something else with a tea towel over it. So I think that could be a pretty good tool.
It's interesting what you said about airflow as well, because he sent me some photos, and this was kind of like a harness, and the packs went on in strategic places, and it was like a gauze, so the airflow come through all the other places. I'd have to try and find some info, but it just, you got me. You actually reminded me when you said that. How's about? Sorry, Joe.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to have a look. And you mentioned diet there a couple of times. So, like, how much of a part does diet play in, and even feeding schedules?
I think it'd be a big part. I know the greyhound guys all have their secret recipes for their performance dog. I suppose it's just how convenient and how balanced the diet can be for other people. I know greyhound guys certainly use quite a lot of raw meat,
a lot of fresh meat, a lot of fat trimmings. They use kibble as well.
Mm-hmm.
But,
what about schedules? Like, would they feed smaller amounts a couple of times a day, or would it be like just that? Like, my dogs aren't doing big miles, so every night you just feed your dogs, right? But would they benefit if they're doing miles, being fed smaller amounts more frequently?
They would. The greyhounds are certainly on a twice a day schedule. You work dog on a once a day schedule. But it's about not feeding too much carbohydrate. That's not good for muscle metabolism. It's about feeding right carbohydrate, meat and fat ratios. And once a day feeding is although there's a bit of once into twice a day feeding. So frequent feeding.
So someone that was feeding a dog once a day, would they be better off doing it morning or night?
Oh, I'd say you'd be feeding him at night after the work day. Sorry.
Yeah.
On a full belly, like obviously on the kibble diet, the pellet gets swallowed down at one size, and in no time at all, those pellets can expand to a fairly large pellet. So you don't want the dog to be running around with it and inflating stuff.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What about raising pups in warmer weather? Do you guys see many issues with that? People's like daylight today. Like, we had a couple of days there, like 40 degrees. Now it's dropped back down to 20. What changes in variation so quickly? How can we make it more comfortable for our pups and our bitches?
I think some bedding's always good. Obviously, shade, and water. Well, that's supplied to them. But obviously having maybe a bit of insulation to the shade they're getting as well. Like just lassoing a tarp over a kennel's not always going to be enough. They're just going to be sort of half cooking underneath them on a hot day. Certainly, if it's sort of obstructing airflow into that housing.
We need to provide a good insulated facility for them. My experience is that summer pups do better than winter pups, but to me, it's just the setup that they're born into. Obviously, those guys that have trouble with winter pups need to do a different setup. They need more insulation, and those same guys that that do well with their summer pups obviously have the right breezy facility for them. So I think we've just got to provide a good insulated product for the bitch to whelp in and rear her pups in.
And I think even out of just having pups in the breeding is just, I think that should be, obviously supplied for all dogs, and probably just keeping that housing, respectable and clean for the dog. Like, there's nothing worse than you go and see dogs that are in cages and they've got a foot high of feces in the corner of it, feces in the bowl, and there's no bedding out the back. Like, I think keeping the whole housing environment as clean as possible is a no-brainer, really.
Absolutely. Can we look after our bitches a little bit different in different weather patterns as well to help them along?
In terms of in the weather, or
no, our bitches looking after pups, like, should in different weather patterns, like if it's cooler, should we be looking after feeding our bitches a bit differently, or even supplementing them differently?
I think we need to feed them accordingly to their body condition and their stage of pregnancy and the number of pups they're feeding. And we need to be mindful of the weather patterns coming through, and we may have to move a bitch into a different facility. There's weather coming, and move her back and her litter back if we haven't got an all-weather purpose facility. But what's your standard approach for feeding bitches? Well, their volume of feed requirement does go up significantly once they've whelped or towards the end of pregnancy, and once they've whelped and then through 3 or 4 weeks in, and steps up again.
Yeah, I think that their requirement, like lactating and late gestation, is nearly as much as what an in-work dog is, which is sort of generally is 3 to 5, just 3 to 5 times what their resting energy requirements are. So certainly being conscious that it's not just a single dog doing not much; it's a dog now providing or requiring to lactate, or even just to maintain those pregnancies. But I suppose in the terms of the weather patterning, like having those tighter kennel spaces is probably a thing that would need to be opened up a little bit. Obviously, if there's a bitch in there that's having or feeding sort of 8 pups, then having some room in that bedding space is definitely going to help not create so much sort of body contact heat in that area on a hotter day.
Allowing her to get away a little bit.
Allowing her to get off the pups, and the pups probably to just space off themselves a little bit more. Like, it's in the middle of winter, they essentially want the opposite, don't they? They just sort of huddle in. Habit is to just nestle in closer together. Body warmth is king. Body on body contact.
Can see that there.
Yeah.
And what about like puppy food? When would you be putting bitches onto that and stuff like that?
Yeah, we I suppose we nearly always recommend that putting the pregnant bitches on puppy food. Obviously just has a bit of higher calcium and a bit of higher fat content in it. I suppose it's halfway through the gestation period, which is pretty short for a dog.
Yeah.
One recommendation that's stood the test of time is run the bitch on puppy food throughout a whole lactation, and it hasn't let me down yet. So, Jeremy, same rules, 3 to 5 times per daily intake during lactation.
Yeah. And would you feed that multiple times throughout the day, or in like one meal? Like, obviously that space is getting smaller in her stomach, and the pup's putting pressure on it all. Would you be doing it multiple times, or
probably smaller feed more often would be better pregnant bitch, as you say, the space that a full pregnant uterus consumes in the abdomen is quite extensive. So giving her a whole daily intake in one feed is probably going to be a little bit of ask in terms of the abdominal space there available. So yeah, I think late gestation would be probably smaller feeds more often, and then I mean you nearly almost just provide feed ad-lib, don't you?
I think bitches are great at doing the whole thing themselves, knowing what they need, knowing what to do, and obviously not all bitches could relate to that, but I think 9 times out of 10 we work out their feeding habit and give them the whole lot, and they work on it through the day and do their thing. Is my experience.
But a lot of the feed, or the pet kibble and stuff, obviously has some energy and protein values on them, so it's not too hard to figure out, exactly how much you need to feed them if you were to just measure some quantities out. Yeah. And I heard enduro is pretty good. Got real kangaroo meat in it.
Yep.
Absolutely. I might upset a few people here, but that's what I do. I'll just say that it is. Obviously, like, dogs have been breeding forever. People have been breeding dogs forever. But I suppose with more scientific-based evidence now, probably more pups are living per litter than they used to. Would that be pretty accurate? But do you think sometimes we meddle too much as well?
I think one of your biggest reasons for pup loss is just a confused bitch and an anxious bitch, and left to her own devices. Obviously, watch fly. They've got to learn to do it as well, but natural instincts are a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and if the natural instincts just aren't there, well, maybe that's not a line that should continue. Like, as much as I hate, like, as it's going to be said, like, I'm just going to say it. Like, let's be honest, especially when you get to some of those. Let's move away from working dogs. Those designer breeds, people, instead of looking at a particular life or the quality of life of particular dogs, they look at that and they go, oh, they don't want to lose a pup because they're losing money. But probably for the quality of that line, maybe they had to lose a couple of the weaker ones. It's nature, right?
That's nature, and you're probably right. Like, a few of those lines may inherently not have that maternal instinct, and possibly not suitable from doing repeat breedings from. Don't have to cull them, but potentially not want you to breed again. Yeah. A lot of work to keep those small pups alive.
Yeah.
We'd attest to that, Dan. Problem is, some of these breedings guys have waited a long time and invested a lot in, and so it's going to be a very internal struggle for them to some people to sit back and let nature do its thing. But,
no,
I think it's human nature to try and save everything too.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. But it's no different. Like, when it's like humans got such an emotional attachment to their companion animals, but if it's a cow that's covered in the paddock and she absolutely hates her calf, there's no way that those producers ever run her around again.
Yeah.
Sackable offence.
Yeah, she's in the coal paddock. So obviously with the warmer weather, there's slippery things getting around coming out of hibernation. Don't know too many people that like snakes, but hey, some people do, some people don't. But obviously we're seeing a stack of them around at the moment. What are some of the symptoms that we can keep our eye out for snake bite? And some preventions and cures. Let's get onto that topic.
Yeah, not many people like snakes, but they're definitely come out in force, haven't they? Very early on with this change of weather, they're everywhere, and there's definitely been a lot coming to our. I'm sure everyone else is feeling the same sort of change there. But I suppose the two different snakes that we would predominantly see would be, I mean, number one would be brown snakes, wouldn't it? And
we see that'd be 90% of our snake bites, and then the red belly black. They both present differently, but most cockies in our area would be familiar with the symptoms. That being a lot of things, disorientation. The eastern brown is often paralysis first. The dog will often take a half an hour nap, and you could actually think they're napping, but they're just paralysed on the front lawn. Then they'll come to, and that's where the brown snake catches people out, because the next toxin kicks in, and they're in all sorts of
which would nearly look like a heat stroke dog in essence, wouldn't it? Like it's a lot of hyperventilating, panting a lot, muscle tremors, vomiting, very nauseous dog. Probably a dog that's showing a bit more neurological symptoms and something that's probably a dog that's hard to reason with. And the symptoms of that are fairly quick. Because when they start to show in the dog, then it's 100% an emergency to be rushing that animal that's presenting with those signs into your closest vets.
On average, how long does a dog have?
What do we say? Like from the onset of symptoms, it's normally about half an hour till the onset of symptoms. You probably got another half an hour to an hour.
Yeah. The sooner the treater, the better. We treat them before they're in full respiratory paralysis, then we have a very good outcome. The ones that go into respiratory paralysis as you're treating them, that you've got to spend a lot of time breathing for them, and they're the tough ones. But we always work on the hour rule if you're not sure if the dog's been bitten, but the immediate rule if there's any symptoms. Got any doubt, we can run a few blood tests that take a couple of they can let us know whether
If your dog is bitten by a snake, you're not giving the advice to suck the venom out and spit it across the room. Like in the human, like you'd bandage upper limb. Are we doing similar things for our dogs, or is it better just to leave them and bring them in?
Hold on.
We suck the venom out.
Cut the ear off.
Oh, I've heard that one. I was actually asked that one about 3 weeks ago. Should I cut the tip of the ear off? I said, I think you should get it to your vet.
So you've got dry bites, you've got fatal lethal bites, and you've got a lot of in between. Problem is, a lot of in between still creates a very sick animal that could need a lot of intensive care. So, all those other treatments work really well for the dry bites, but toxic bites, we need to get anti-venom into them.
Yep. So no splinting, no bandaging, no just in the back of the ute. And sorry, Jeremy, didn't hear you, mate.
As prompt as possible. Yeah.
Yep. If a dog does take a pretty savage bite but does live through, what are some of the side effects or things we can expect to see for the duration of that dog's life? Like, will it ever come back, like 100%?
Well, there's other snakes out there there's tiger snakes, and there's other species of snakes that we can have some lasting organ effects. So we need to be mindful of particularly in the first month with some of these bites. Certainly wouldn't want to heat stress a dog or size stress a dog. I wouldn't be working at least 6 bites. I haven't seen any long-lasting effects in our browns or our black snakes. They do.
Yeah, cool. I had something brewing off the back of that, and then I lost it when we're talking there. Is it that happens to me sometimes?
Would be worthwhile running some blood tests in sort of after snake bite.
Yep.
To dogs tracking, and if we're not happy with the enzyme levels there, we can,
So we'd be worried most about sort of kidney function and
Yes.
stuff like that. Main organs of concern for sure.
If you know your dog's been bitten or you suspect your dog's been bitten, but you don't know or you can't see a particular snake, is that actually really important? Is it got any importance, or should we just get it to you guys? And can you guys tell the type of snake by just running a blood test that it has been bitten? And what type of snake has been bitten by, rather?
We've had a few times when people have actively gone out to catch the snake and then to bring it.
That's what I'm getting at.
We can identify them, and I think my severe fear of snakes overrides the ability for me to identify. But I think there are certainly clinics that can type it a lot better than what we can here. But there are definitely indicators. One would be symptoms as to which snake has hit them, and then other diagnostic workups would be our blood tests, which would be one, a clotting time, and then yeah.
There is a test, a urine test that can help. The problem is we need to treat these dogs stat, and the knowledge, we're lucky we've got a multivalent product that can cover a lot of species of snakes. So specific product, but any doubt, we just go for the multi.
Yeah.
Product.
Away from snakes, how about ticks? How are they playing a part now with the warmer weather?
We don't see nearly anything in our area at all, other than travelling animals. So it'd be hard for to
Ticks will be out now, that's for sure, in high numbers.
yeah. Certainly in the coastal areas, they're going to be very prevalent. But they are. I mean, as opposed to snakes, where there's nearly no prevention, ticks would be probably the easiest thing you could prevent. Causing an issue to your dog. So I think that's something that should be definitely in the.
It does catch a lot of people out. They head into a different region for holiday, and they come home with a tick affected dog, because there's life-threatening snakes in the day. So just be mindful of where you're going, where these paralysis ticks, what zones they live in, and go see your vet about getting some coverage.
Yeah, beautiful. And the only thing I can actually think of as well with the warmer weather is obviously our crops are taken off in grass seeds. This would be grass seed weather too, wouldn't it?
I think barley grass seeds were just designed to mess dogs up. I think be a lot. They get get from anywhere from their. I mean, the most common thing would be their ears, that they come in with a head shaking dog. They get in their nose, they get in their skin. Once they're in there, they can travel around to nearly anywhere. As soon as you might be suspicious of your dog having a seed, earlier intervention is definitely better for that. I know a few cockies try to pour a litre of oil down their ear or something to dislodge a grass seed, but I don't know how effective that is.
It makes the blow a bit less painful for the dog, but we need to retrieve that seed. I think seeds are the number one issue in our dogs personally.
Yep.
And I was broken into grass seeds very early, working as a vet out of Holbrook, but I'd be reluctant to work my good dogs in some months of the year, I think, given what I see come through the vet clinic, grass seeds in lungs and things. So I think the grass seeds need as much consideration given to them as heat stresses and snake bites.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I've seen mates spend tens of thousands of dollars on grass seeds and still not get the bastards. After 3-4 operations.
They're very frustrating. They're travelling buggers. They show up and then you go searching into the most obvious area, and they can't find them.
They're not there. Often they've abscessated inside the lungs, and it's just a fluid tract popping out somewhere. And so, we like to open these fluid tracts and flush them, but often the seeds in deeper, further, in muscle layers. And so, if I'm running a dog and I'm seeing barley grass pop out of the paddock, I cringe.
So if we were working the dog and did notice barley grass there, like when we finish a job, we're calling it back. We're looking in its ears, its gums, in its paws. What other spots can they enter that we wouldn't think of?
The vulva.
Oh, even back there.
Ryan.
I've never seen one in the
Haven't you? Mate,
is there anything else with the warmer weather that you guys think we should be paying a particular attention to with our working dogs, or even if it's not the way we're working them, the way we're keeping them, or the way we're interacting?
I think just using some common sense, I suppose. Most of the cockies around here, so you're driving around in buggies. So if you're getting from paddock to paddock, there's no need to be unnecessarily running dogs around. It's giving them a good quality diet. I think it's providing them a lot of water, electrolyte supplementations, and I think it's keeping them fit. Not expecting them to do the
packs of utes in the middle of summer. Be mindful of them.
Yeah.
Yep. No. Also, I think sometimes over winter months we can be parking dogs up. There's not a lot of work, so not doing the miles, and then all of a sudden the days are longer, things are happening, trucks are coming in and out, and we just go, all right, cool, let's just get to it. But hey, I know in winter I've put a bit of an extra layer on here, so I'd expect some dogs to do that with not doing the mile. So like you guys said, if we're just using some common sense and just a little bit of empathy towards our dogs and getting them fit, I think that's probably a good start, yeah? Absolutely.
What was that?
Sorry, guys, we lost you there. What was that, mate?
I think you should join the team. Join the team down here.
Oh, mate, that'd be awesome. I could just clean all the cages for you. I'm really good at cleaning kennels. Very particular.
Yeah, I can tell by the way you brush your hair.
I brushed it forward today.
Do you have any memorable cases or like sort of
Jobs.
that has come through the clinic or you've gone out to, like called out to?
Hundreds.
Well, any that you can speak about.
I don't know. Do the success stories live with you more than the failures?
Yeah.
Got to block a lot of the failures out.
Yeah. No, I definitely on a snake bite topic, I suppose. I remember a few years ago having it wasn't a working dog. It was a GSB like that come in and the dog was very acute, showing some pretty significant symptoms. And when he'd brought it in, Seumas was actually with me, and there's I didn't give the dog much of a shot of making it, and after administering some anti-venereal fluids and breathing for it for an hour, the dog was certainly on its way to recovery, and it's very rewarding to see those dogs sort of walk out the front door at the end of the day with a pretty happy owner. So yeah, I've definitely had a few of those that you don't give much of a shot to, but they surprise you.
When you guys have mentioned breathing for it a couple of times tonight, I'm envisaging something like on ER when someone's there with the bag, and that's fair income what it is, or
pretty well.
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
There are respirators, but we
hook them up to an oxygen tank. Yeah.
Oxygen tank, and you give them a breath every 10 to 15 seconds, and you just choose your rate off their oxygen levels that you're getting off your machines. And I reckon Dave has bought a couple of
ventilators.
A couple of automatic ventilators, but like all things, they wear out and the electronics fail, so handhelds are the best.
Yeah.
You know it's pretty serious when you got that far.
My story is not a good ending story. Mine, when you come up with the topic, Dan, that my first thought was a dog was a dog about this time of year that had been down in Victoria, and the cocky had a big week on an export facility, and he was coming, and it was very muggy night. He was travelling home, and his dog wasn't travelling well, and she succumbed to heat stress and acidosis. Her symptoms were just lethargy and a bit of depression, and he knew she had a big week at work, but evidently she wasn't fit enough, and the humidity and the weather conditions caught them out. So that was the first thing that came to mind when you were setting up this podcast.
Yeah, and like, what a sad way to lose such a valued member of your team or your family. Especially, you put so much time and effort into educating your dogs, and some people may not say, but they become part. They're your work team. You work with your dogs more than your family. Than you're with your family a lot of time when you're out there, and to see there's something that could have been so easily preventable, but by workload we get stuck.
It was just the stars aligned with the weather and her fitness level and the workload. She did do a significant week, but it was unfortunate.
What about, like, just made me think, what about traveling in like hot days and stuff? Dogs on the back of the ute, like, other than water and maybe not traveling in the middle and heat of the day, sometimes you've just got to. Is there anything else people could be doing or you recommend?
I think the ventilation's got to be good, the insulation's got to be good, and I think the housing really needs to be separate. My setup on the back of my ute isn't amazing. It's just a long sort of through and through single bay cage, but the top of my setup has a rooftop tent, and I find it insulates everything quite well, just absorb a lot of the heat. But certainly on a hot day, never put more than sort of 2 dogs in that area, and on a very, very well sort of ventilated trailer. So they've always got something blocking them from the sun, and they've got some good ventilation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's something we don't think about sometimes, right? We're just like, when we're traveling, we're just like, oh, no, they're just jump in the back of the ute or in a dog trailer and away we go. It's easy to kind of forget how things change so rapidly when you're wearing a jacket permanently.
Yeah. And even sort of like flooring on the back of the ute, like that can get red hot at times of the year. So just making sure there's some suitable flooring where they're going to be tethered, or if they're not in a cage, they're being tethered. Like just making sure that that's not going to, scald the bottom of their feet for a long duration. But I think that the common sense again.
Plenty of water, regular checks. The greyhound guys all run aircon units.
Yep, I've noticed that. Actually, that's something you just mentioned, like flooring and that there. Like, what about toughening feet coming into warmer weather? Well, we often see on these Facebook pages about helping our dogs' feet get along. Any particular remedies that you guys would suggest in toughening up some pads?
Oh, that's tough, isn't it?
Fitness again.
Yeah, it's trying to condition them.
Well, sorry.
Do you use?
My missus swears by Connie's crystals.
The blue ones.
Yeah, no, I'm not exactly. She's not here. I can't ask. She's dog talk, so she's in the bedroom on an iPad. But yeah, when she was up north working on the station there for nearly a decade, she swore by soaking their feet. So I'm sure it's called Connie's crystals. It should soak their feet.
It's like a sulfate. It would be a horse thing that she's thinking of. They're blue.
Potassium permanganate. So it's a very good disinfectant too. So I imagine if you do have a sore-footed dog that's lost some pad, and it would be a very good remedy to keep it disinfected. Obviously it might harden them as well.
Cool. Thanks heaps for jumping on tonight, guys. Really appreciate it. And hopefully there's more than someone, but a few people can take something away and for the longevity of their dogs. I'm really interested to see what Laura's going to ask you guys tonight. Being 2 of yous there.
Would you rather travel to the past or to the future?
Oh.
Oh.
Shit.
Good question.
Back to the future.
Back to the future.
Through.
I don't know. I think there's a few things in your past you might have done differently, but for me, I always look forward. So I'm probably more intrigued as to where I'm setting myself. So I'd love to see myself in 10 years' time. I'd hope to have all my hair.
I thought you were going to say have Seumas working for you, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I am. I currently. My turn?
Your turn.
Your turn.
I don't know, Laura. I love my upbringing, and but I also love where I'm going. So can't wait for tomorrow. Future.
Righto. Perfect.
Well said, guys. Thanks again for jumping on tonight. Really appreciate your opinion and your scope coming from a couple of professionals. Cheers, great effort, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you heaps. I'm sure everyone will love a bit of free vet advice. So
Who doesn't love a bit of free vet advice? And to everyone that jumped on. Oh, sorry, what was I paying?
Who said it was for free?
It's true. They're going to cost me some solo hards, I reckon.
Hard solos, Daniel.
Hard solos, I don't know. Han Solo, wasn't he on Star Wars? Anyways, to everyone that tuned in tonight, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Everyone that listens back, hope you enjoy that as well. And please remember, we learn every day, and a day we stop learning from each other will be a sad day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.